Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!
That's me, Tiberius!
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today, and I'm your host, Tiberius Boy! And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today, this is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to a visual engineer that does audio as well. Well, do you have any idea what an audio-visual engineer does? Well, neither do I. Well, let's find out. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Ben Gardner.
Hey, all right. Thank you, Mr. Tiberius. It is a pleasure to be on your show, buddy.
No problem.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to
Thank you
it.
for being on the show, actually.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it.
Sweet. Okay, so you are listed as an audio-visual engineer.
Yes.
Can you explain to my listeners exactly what does that mean?
I am a glorified furniture mover. I move things from here to there. That's pretty much how it works. But no, seriously, we basically make disturbances in atmospheric pressure. That's kind of how it works. Make sound, we make lights, we make videos, all sorts of stuff happen.
We like that.
Yes, anything in the audio and visual spectrum.
Nice. Okay, so how did you get started learning about audio-visual?
So the way that it kind of started was, I guess there's different aspects of it. So I got involved with doing AV, primarily learned a lot from my father, who was actually a pastor. So I learned the communication side from him. And learned to communicate on different levels, through writing, through visual aids, things like that, through his sermons, stuff like that. And then I actually had my mom, who really pushed me into music and art a lot. So she actually took me to see my very first concert, which was Handel's Young Messiah with Carmen and Sandy Patty, man. It was awesome. It was epic. And then I had a second cousin who, his name is Chuck. He actually is a musician and used to tour around back in the day, and he had a studio. And, when I was a kid, I used to hang out in the studio a lot and watch bands come in and create amazing, epic albums and stuff like that. Yeah. So a lot of influence from the family to get into the AV side of things.
Yeah.
And then a musician myself. So, learning signal flow and just having a blast with it. So it kind of evolved from there, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is it harder to learn about audio-visual or teach someone else about it?
Learning about audio-visual is not as hard as I think as it used to be. It used to be everything was analog, so you really had to understand a lot of aspects of it. But I will say that learning is probably the easiest. There's a lot of resources. Teaching it, I've taught a lot of people audiovisual. We've had actually over 400 interns through our company in the last probably 8 to 10 years. And it's not so much a challenge. I wouldn't say it's so much of a challenge. It's a pleasure to teach people, but each student kind of is a little different, and everybody works at their own pace. Everybody comes in at different experience levels. So being to identify kind of those experience levels and then assessing where they're at and then teaching and enforcing kind of what they need to know. That's kind of the challenge there a little bit, but it's always a pleasure to teach people what I know and what I do. I love doing that. I love being on that side of the fence,
Sweet. Okay, so why is audio-visual such a great industry to get involved in?
Well, free concert tickets. That's always cool, but seriously, I really like the connection side of it. I like meeting people. I like using it kind of as a vessel to go out and have something to talk about and experience fun times, but also really just connect with people. That's the biggest. I think that's the biggest part of it.
Nice.
It's not so much that I love AV so much, but I love the connections that are made through AV and meeting very creative people who use their art to speak and use their art to kind of deliver messages to people that need it, So to me, that's important.
Sweet, yeah. So what is the best part about the work that you do?
The best part of the work that I do, I would say it's got to be the connection side. And I'll give you kind of an example. A lot of people think of the entertainment industry, just going out to shows, having fun, which is definitely part of it. But there have been ways that I've been able to use what I do and kind of inject it into the community. So, for example, we had a drive-by shooting in our neighborhood a few years back, and it was pretty hardcore. Nobody got hurt though, fortunately. But so what we did was we got together with some members of the community, some neighbors, and we started producing events in our local park. And with the aid of some established groups like People of Lockhart, and we started working with our local commissioner, and we started working with our local law enforcement. And these events have just grown and grown, and it's been a great way to basically let community members come together, meet one another who wouldn't normally know each other. Now neighbors are meeting, and we've actually been able to bring down the crime rates in our areas just by using local music, local art, and putting on events and stuff. So that kind of fellowship is very important. So that's probably the best thing, is making those types of connections happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Being part of it.
Well, here seems like a good idea to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
And we are back here talking with Ben Gardner. Ben works with audio-visual production and local bands. So, Ben, how did you get started with working with different local bands?
Well, I moved down here from the Columbus, Ohio area. And I went to school and got a degree in live show production and touring. And then from there, just really started doing a ton of shows. So,
Nice.
yeah, I kind of got started doing producing events and then working corporate events as well, too. I actually started my first jobs in the industry after school was working way backstage, sanding fiberglass. How about that for an AV job?
Cool.
Making custom instrument cases and road cases for bands.
Oh,
like
that's cool.
Yeah. We used to do all sorts of cool stuff. We did like Jerry Only's from the Misfits. We did his bass case. We did washer and dryer cases for Pink Floyd and wardrobe cases for the Dixie Chicks and just all sorts of cool stuff. And then from there, we also had rehearsal spaces, so a lot of bands would come in and play. Yeah. So, sanding fiberglass during the day and then mixing
music,
bands at night. And then from there, kind of transitioned into corporate. So doing a lot of corporate shows for companies like Pepsi and Lockheed Martin and just a ton of others. And then from there, I got into set and scenic design a little bit. So as a lighting director, we would build ice sculptures, and my job was to put the lights in the ice and hope that they didn't get hit with chainsaws, and then go back and program them, things like that. So pretty artistic stuff. And then more recently, I was a lighting director for a convention center in town, and until about I guess it's not been more recently. But until about 2009 is when I branched off and started my own company, and we started producing events from there, and that's kind of where we're at now. So
Nice.
yeah.
So how do you
In a
help
nutshell.
local bands get noticed and booked?
We do a lot. Now COVID obviously has changed a lot, but prior to COVID, we were doing 4 to 6 events a week. We were having bands on events. We have a studio in town, so we were offering rehearsal space and press kit development. We also had a program called Local Music Guild. Then what we would do with that, we would run a podcast and we would talk about music publishing and how to get your band monetized and how to set up tours and all sorts of just resourceful kind of things for artists. We'd bring in guests like you're doing as well too. So we'd do things like that. We would do artist development showcases, have bands come out, do photo shoots, all sorts of stuff. So quite a lot. More recently, though, we've had to kind of downscale a little bit because of the climate of the entertainment industry has been a little bit more challenging. So, but we're still doing it. We're still on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my dad said that you worked with a lot of famous people, some that I may even know of. Do you ever become a fanboy when you're working with celebrities?
Yes, right now with you, Tiberius. I am starstruck with you. Actually, I've been looking forward to come on this show for weeks now, man. So I greatly appreciate being here. But I will say that as far as our studio goes, we don't really talk about who comes into the studio because it is a private studio. But we have had some. I've had the pleasure of meeting some pretty cool people that have some pretty interesting stories and interesting walks. So as far as being starstruck, I don't know that I've ever really had that happen to me. I feel more like I really appreciate local art, and that's kind of where my heart is local musicians and just assisting them to be able to get their stuff out. But, yeah.
So you work with local bands and events. Well, what type of events did you work on?
Oh boy, you name it. We've done pretty much every genre of music you can imagine, including some that I've never heard of before, but that aren't established yet. We've done fashion shows, we've done development shows, we've done corporate events, we've done rock and roll stuff. I mean, pretty much everything that you can imagine. We have done.
So do most events need help with the audio visual?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, yeah, definitely. Having especially bands and stuff, there's nothing wrong with bands running their own sound. That can be, you can wear multiple hats for sure. But when you go into a venue and you have a good sound tech and a good engineer in place, it really does help make the show. They kind of become another member of the band in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and I would say for local bands getting started, make sure you take care of your sound guys. Show them your appreciation. Buy them pizza. Your mix will sound better. And, there's tricks to that too,
Yeah. So what is that one event that you were most proud of?
That's a tough one too. It's been a lot of years and a lot of events. They a lot of them tend to blend into one big show after a while, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint.
Show of Ben Gardner's life.
yeah. But I'm proud of my teams that we've had over the years, and I'm proud of anything that we've done in the community that's really helped build the community or helped reinforce arts in the community.
Yeah.
That's to me a very important thing that I advocate. So.
Yeah, nice. So now, when COVID hit, most events were shut down. What did you do?
COVID, the infamous COVID. So, basically, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of guys didn't make it through COVID, with their businesses, just due to the shutdowns and things like that. And people were tight on money and stuff. We actually, personally, I had a challenge. My significant other, Tanya, she actually has had a double lung transplant. So I actually kind of operate as a caregiver for her as well, too. And she's also a caregiver to me. So we kind of works out pretty well. She keeps me on track,
Yeah.
But so we had to be extra careful. Even still today, we're still, being very cautious because there are still strands and things like that going around. But we leaned very heavily onto our studio because we couldn't really produce a lot of events.
Yeah.
We were doing some backyard events and things like that, private party stuff. But for the most part, we were kind of leaning on the studio and producing a lot of EPK, press kit development, photo shoots, videos. We were live streaming dueling pianos and mariachi bands into corporate functions online for companies like Cisco and stuff, and just anything that we could really do to keep it going. And I was very blessed in the fact that we didn't really lose money. We actually kind of just broke even. We didn't really make money, but we didn't do too bad through COVID. Our team got disbanded. That was the biggest hit. Was we lost a lot of really good engineers that have been with the company for a while. We got a few of them back and recently, but some of them are have moved on and hoping to do other things in other places or on tour now and things like that, which is good for them. And we've rebuilt our team, so we're in good shape now.
Nice.
But it definitely was a challenge.
So what are some of the largest issues that are currently affecting the audiovisual industry right now?
I would say that currently one of the biggest issues that's affecting arts and entertainment across the board, and we're seeing it with the writer's strike even right now, is basically artist royalties and payouts, especially with music. There's a lot of live streaming service providers out there that just don't pay out like they should. In 2021, the Music Modernization Act kind of got put in place and is active, where bands are supposed to be able to collect, for digital rights, streaming and stuff like that. But we still have a long way to go, in my opinion, on that. So I think it needs to be standardized even more, and I think the payouts need to be better, but need to be bigger. So.
Now, I know that you also work at the First Presbyterian Church right across from the Christ School where I go to school. Well, can you tell me about that?
Yes, I do. So during COVID, I accepted a position over at First Presbyterian Church, which is downtown, under the leadership of Dr. David Swanson. And it's been a tremendously awesome experience, man. It's been really, really good. The church does a lot in the community, and I'm very proud to be helping to support a lot of what they initiate and all the different programs that they have on campus there. Our director is really, really good. I can't say enough about our team over there, honestly. Christine McDaniel and all the people on our creative side team, they're just fantastic people to work with, and I don't see myself leaving there anytime soon. I've really grown to enjoy it, and what's really great is I still get they don't mind me doing double duty, so I'm still running a team of about 15 to 18 guys on the Orlando Band's CFAV side, and then we have a small team at the church, and it's been really good.
Nice. So, do most churches need someone that's an expert in audiovisual?
Oh, yes. I do believe so. I think in this day and age, so many people are connecting to events, including church services, digitally. There's a lot of people who, whether they have an immune deficiency or whether they have, just transportation challenges, they just can't get to places, can't get to venues. So I think the live streaming aspects are very important and needed. And to do that, you've got to have talent who can compile all it together and make sure it's working properly. And I mean, the show production side is growing and growing. People like to make events as big as they possibly can now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a thing, Now, I'm not going to say that you can't have a good volunteer. It doesn't mean that everybody has to be, a superior tech or anything. That's kind of the fortunate thing about the technology on this end of it. The technology, the learning curve of it has come down, and it's become a lot of these systems are plug and play now, and it's very easy to kind of put together a home studio. It's easy to put together, small systems and venues. So you don't really need super top-notch techs based on what you're doing. You find the right person. But I would say if you are considering to bring in a volunteer into your house of worship, I would definitely try to find somebody who's had some training even outside of schooling, somebody with some experience,
Okay, well, does it cost a lot to get into this business?
No, not necessarily. I've sat on the advisory board for Orange Technical College, and I'm currently sitting on the advisory board for First Institute, which are both AV schools here in town. And the price points on the schools vary. Some of them are overpriced in my opinion, but some of them are very reasonable. I think the biggest the biggest commitment is really time. And it does take a while to get into this industry. It's still very Wild West, which is what I really like about it. Your reputation means a lot.
Yeah.
So you need to be on time. You need to have a good attitude, and you need to be able to do what you say you can do.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest I guess not sacrifice, but the biggest cost is your time and just getting started and making the connections happen. To get into the right places to really make money,
Mm-hmm. So what is the hardest part about being an audiovisual engineer?
The hardest part. All right. So the hardest part about being an audio engineer. That's a good question. I would have to say that it's missing out on holidays and missing out on family time. Because you do have to be there, 4th of July's and Christmases and all that, Those are big days for the AV world, so.
Yeah. So what is the craziest thing that has happened while you were doing your passion?
The craziest thing. All right. So yeah, besides the disaster stuff, which we've had a lot. We've had flash floods in the middle of our shows and lost equipment. We've had rigging failures. We've had not on my company, but I've worked for companies that have suffered. Unfortunately, we had a video truck one time that stopped working, and we found out the Windows operating system on it was all in Korean, and so that was fun. But the craziest thing, I think, to me, I would have to say, is the surprise feeling that I get out of the blue. I'll go in sometimes and I'll be having a harder day, or just be challenged, or not feeling like things are going really well, and then connections start to happen. And you just feel moved, and suddenly things just kind of align, and you feel like what you're doing is important. And I've even had this in pre-production, just programming lights and thinking about what the show's going to look like and how people are going to respond and react. And sometimes it's just overwhelming, and it's really cool. And it'll just take you by surprise every time. And I think for me, that's the craziest thing, is that never goes away. It just has never gone away. It's these events seem to still matter inside to me a lot, and I really appreciate being able to have something like that in my life.
Yeah. Well, what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be an audiovisual engineer?
I would say if you're considering any route in life, be realistic about the commitment that it's going to take, because as you know, it takes time. It takes a lot of effort and research, and you've really got to apply yourself. So be realistic about that. If you are planning to settle down and have a large family and things, you may not want to go on the road. You may want to stay in your area. So be realistic about what the job entails. And it's, a lot of people go in the entertainment industry, especially under the assumption that it's just a big party and they're going to get to hang out with celebrities and do all these really cool things, which is a lot of fun. But there's a lot of work involved in it, and you'll find that in a lot of cases you won't be able to. You're not going to make best friends with a lot of these people because you're in a working relationship. So it's a little bit different on the backstage side than how it looks on the front stage sides oftentimes. So I would say. I don't want to discourage anybody, but just be realistic with your expectations.
Okay, well, what message do you want to tell children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
Well, I would say the message that I would let the children all over the world. Yes, the all over the world. The message I would tell the children: eat your vegetables. That's what I would say. Eat your vegetables, Tiberius. No, I would say definitely take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Watch your diet. Watch how much you indulge into entertainment and arts. Honestly, it can be, for as much as we've talked about how much fun it is, there still is that underlying message of taking art and injecting it in the community in a positive way. And unfortunately, I think that we have so many outlets between video games and music and YouTube shows and streaming service providers, and it's very easy to just become addicted to that and ignore real life. And I still think that real life is the greatest video game ever. It was well designed, in my opinion. And there's ups and downs, and don't be afraid to go out and live it, because you're going to miss out if you just stay in front of a screen or a device. So that's what I would tell the next generation, is embrace your life and take care of yourselves.
Yeah, well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills. And we are back here with the amazing technical producer, Ben Gardner. Okay, now, Ben, since you've worked with so many artists and my school, which is the one that you will never forget?
The artist that I'll never forget? I would say, okay, that's kind of a weird one, because artist is broad to me. It's not just music. But I'm going to say Tanya. That's what I'm going to say. She recently started making purses and doing all sorts of sewing during COVID. And before that, she was a very accomplished artist, digital arts and stuff like that as well, too. And I love her to death, and she does a great job sewing, and she makes some incredible stuff. If you want to check her out, you can go to My Twisted Stitches, and you can check out some of her stuff there.
And that website again is What?
My Twisted Stitches.
Got it.
Yeah.
I can't say anything for that. But still, do you not have any other contacts to invite them on a kid show, do you, for the artist?
Yeah, man. We have actually over 2,000 bands that are registered in our database currently. So we have a lot of musicians, a lot of promoters, a lot of industry connects. So we could probably throw some your way.
You know what that means, Dad?
Let your hair down.
Okay, cut. That was good.
Why you cut? I was enjoying.
Let my hair down.
Okay, I'll just change the scene.
Let my hair down.
Just keep laughing. Come in 3, 2.
So, what was the biggest mistake you ever made? And how did it change you as a person?
I'm going to tell you, never ask an AV guy that question.
Why?
Because you're going to hear some pretty crazy stuff, man. No, I
Tell me.
the biggest mistake that I've ever made, boy, I've made so many. But you know, if you were to ask Tanya, I'm sure she would have an answer for you, or even my mother, or you know. But no, you know, it's hard to gauge because the way I kind of have been navigating is just learning from mistakes. So to me, mistakes are going to happen, and sometimes they can be very, depending on the event, can be very emotional and can weigh on you. But you can't let them drown you down. You can't let it happen. You can't let those seeds get planted because they're just going to keep growing into insecurities and anxiety and all this stuff. So you've got to be able to take that and understand that that's part of life, and that you just have to learn from it and move forward and make sure that you develop new methods and strategies so that you don't repeat it, you know? So.
Yeah. So, when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Oh, man. I do all sorts of stuff. We do outdoor activities. We go kayaking. We do all sorts of stuff like that. We do video games. Do a lot of video games, Tiberius. So, yep, all sorts of stuff.
Well, what's your favorite one? Like, what's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game. That's asking, like, what's your favorite child? You know, you just can't really do that. Even though all parents have their favorites. You know, I mean, it is true. No, I'm just kidding.
The favorite.
I'm a big.
I know this because I'm a child.
That's right. You got it made, man. Borderlands, Fallout, BioShock are probably right up there. I've been playing Deep Rock Galactic. You know this one?
Yes.
Okay, I've been playing that.
Is nice.
I just finished the God of War game that they ported over to Steam. Ooh. That was rad. That was pretty good. So yeah, a lot of games. I will say too, Walkabout Mini Golf in VR. Have you played this on VR?
No, I haven't, but I do have another golf game on VR.
Oh man, every Sunday. My family's up in Ohio, up north, but we get together, my dad, my brothers, my nephew, we all play mini golf on Sundays in VR on the moon, and it's it's pretty awesome. So that's been a really good one too. Waiting for the Oculus 3 to come out. I'm excited.
You mean the Oculus Pro's already out, you know?
Well, the price point on it, you know, it's more of a developer's tool from my understanding.
I mean,
so
the headset is kind of better for the Quest 2 than the Pro, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the Pro is made for work where you can see more in real life and stuff. And
gotcha. I haven't tried the Pro, but from my understanding, it's more of a developer's tool than a consumer-based model.
But the controllers are amazing for the Pro. I'm like,
are they?
Holy cow.
Yeah, right on.
Never touched them, but I'm like, I just see what they do, and I'm like,
oh, that's great. That's cool.
That's really cool.
Right on, right on.
Okay, so instead of video games, the opposite of that. What's your favorite book to read?
Well, I've been reading a lot of the Bible, Leviticus in particular. There's a lot of heavy metal stuff in there about burnt offerings and leprosy and all sorts of really wild stuff.
Romans, yes.
But honestly, I like reading comic books, and I don't know if your viewers know this or not, but if you have an Orange County library card, they have a killer selection of comic books at the library. And if you do have that, you should also check out the Melrose Center because it's a really great facility downtown. They've got recording studios, green rooms, robotics, all sorts of cool stuff at the library. Go to the library, kids.
Okay. Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? You know, remember, this is a kid's show. But that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me.
Yeah, again, I'm going to have to revert. You got to be careful what you ask AV guys, man.
Tell me.
But I'll say this. You can read about it in my book coming out in about 20 years. How about that?
Okay.
We'll save it for then. Just got to start writing it. It'll be a lot like Leviticus, I think.
Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
No, I think you pretty much covered it, man. I really appreciate the support, and this has been a great opportunity. And looking forward to seeing the show continue to grow. It's fantastic.
Well, do you have a Facebook or website for my listeners who want to follow you?
Orlando Bands. We are in the middle of rebranding, however. We are doing a lot more AV rental stuff. So we have a new company name, Central Florida Audiovisual Solutions. And so CFAV Solutions. We're in the middle of rebuilding everything. So if you go to orlandobands.com right now, the website is... Well, it actually will be up by the time this airs, won't it? So, but it's down right now, but it will be up. We're rebuilding everything. So check out orlandobands.com, Central Florida AV, CFAV Solutions, and of course, social media and all that. You just look up Orlando Bands and find us there as well, too.
Yeah. Most people think when a server's down, they're not building anything. It's called... There's building too in computers. Not a lot of people know.
That's right. Yep.
Fun fact, yeah.
Yeah, technical challenges. Yes.
Technical difficulty.
Technical hurdles.
We have them all the time. So, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I think you've been very thorough. Tiberius. I think we've got it. If I had to say the question that we didn't ask, I think we nailed it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being my special guest, Ben. Do you mind sticking around for Math Corners?
I would love to stick around for Math Corners.
So you don't mind?
Don't mind at all.
Great.
Let's do some math.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
Tiberius's favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And thank you, Ben, for helping me with Math Corners.
Yeah,
This
buddy.
week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. And today, we're going to talk about pasta.
Ooh, pasta.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pasta then.
Sweet. So, Emilio just learned how to make homemade macaroni and cheese. So, he decided to make a big batch for his family reunion. The original recipe calls for 3 pounds of pasta and serves 8 people. So, Emilio's family reunion will have 64 people. That's more than my cousin count. Huh. Well, how many pounds of pasta does Emilio need to buy?
I would say it's not about the pasta. 64 people, and he's just learned how to make this dish. I'm going to say it's about how many gallons of Pepto-Bismol he needs. Just in case, you never know. I mean, I don't know Emilio's, catering experience, so we're going to see how this goes. Let's solve it.
Okay, well, first, this is a real problem because we do know that people do like mac and cheese. So, let's get into it. So, to solve this, first you need to determine how many groups of 8 you have to feed, right?
Okay.
So you take the 64 divided by 8 people served, and then you get 8. So there'll be 8 groups of 8 to be served. Well, since 3 pounds of pasta will need 8 people, then I'll take the 8 groups and times that by 3 pounds and get 24 pounds of pasta needed.
Indeed. I think two gallons of Pepto-Bismol is about the answer there, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, at least, a box of lactates. You got to consider that as well, too,
Yeah, no. So, Ben, did you ever need 24 pounds of food at one time?
You know what? Yes. We have had events that have needed very large amounts of catering, so I will say that. Now, I've never been put in charge of it because I am like Emilio. Emilio is probably a step ahead of me at this point as far as culinary skills go.
Nice.
That's what I would guess.
So, Ben, my teacher said that I would use math every day. How
Yes.
do you use math in your work?
Well, in this case, you'd have to figure out how many portalettes you need for each show based on how many attendees and what kind of food you're serving. So, You always have to have enough portalets on your events. Otherwise, things can just get out of control. So.
No, I don't know what the heck you mean by portalets and attendees, but do I care? Sure, why not? But still, thank you so much, Ben, for your help with math.
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. So this week, we're going to talk about integrity. For me, I think integrity is doing what is right, even when no one else is looking. The qualities of integrity is honesty, sincerity, truthfulness, and fairness. So this week, I was listening to my dad talk to my friend Giselle. She was at work and had made a large error on an invoice. Well, one of the reps was going to get blamed for it, so she told her supervisor about the mistake and got it corrected right away. This ensured that the rep was not be blamed for that error. And this was a good example of truthfulness and honesty to fix an error and ensure the wrong person did not take the blame for it. And that is what I call integrity.
Indeed.
Yes. The place where you can get free work. So, Ben, did you see or use integrity at all this week?
Every day. Yes, absolutely. The coaching of how to practice integrity is one thing. The reward of integrity, though, is in my opinion, even better because it gives you peace of mind. You don't lose sleep over knowing that you threw somebody else under the bus. And it also, so many people want to fight and argue anymore about, nonsense, really. It lets you move past challenges and problems that are going to happen. And you need to understand that, not everything is going to end is going to result in an end. And a lot of times whenever you practice integrity, it leads to better results. It leads to things coming together and new views and things actually being compiled to make a better product. I think, and you're going to have bumps in the road. So always just be truthful and honest with those you're working with and strive, for that level of perfection that you want to achieve. And integrity is a big part of that.
Yeah. Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
Oh boy, I think they all complement each other. I don't think it works that way. In my opinion, if you have to have one or you have to have all, not one. They kind of counterbalance each other. All parts of the puzzles based on how we're designed and how to function and communicate and connect with one another. You can't shortchange yourself on any one of them.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do.
That's right. Yeah, buddy. That's exactly right.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Ben Gardner for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about booking entertainment and the audio-visual industry.
Well, I'm so glad to have been here, Tiberius. This is awesome, buddy. Looking forward to do it again someday.
Well, thank you so much. And do you mind giving your social media and website again?
Absolutely. OrlandoBands.com. CFAV.solutions, and Orlando Bands for social media.
Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, KNNT 98, Soul Radio 24/7, Easy Way TV, and all the other stations that air my show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Ben, have you subscribed yet?
Yeah. By the time this airs, I have.
Sweet. Oh, and leave a comment if you want to get into audiovisual technology. Also, be sure to see us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.